Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have another special guest on, Davis Conway of Spiracle Media. Now, the reason why I think this one is awesome is because there are so many businesses that are trying to figure out how to communicate their story, and Spiracle helps you do that. So welcome to the show, Davis.
Hey, how's it going, Terrell? Good to see you, man.
Absolutely. Now, Davis, before we jump into talking about Spiracle, what was your background before your life at Spiracle?
Yeah, so I am a salesman, salesperson through and through. Worked at logistics companies, copier sales companies, um, and a couple other ones that it just gives me uh, cringeworthy to even think about. They were so rough. So I've been through the gamut when it comes to sales positions, and I found Spiracle on a job posting, a job website, and thought it looked different. You know, there weren't many sales positions, account management positions at creative agencies at the time, and that's how I got over here.
Awesome, awesome. Now, as you kind of move through those sales positions, kind of was your thought that you would, eventually get to a company like Spiracle, or was that just kind of the luck of the draw the way that fell?
It was a little bit of both. I never thought that I would work in the creative field and be successful at it or find profitability because I wasn't super familiar with that industry or the scene here. Um, but it came to be, I saw it on the Charlotte Agenda posting, and in high school, I took a digital video editing class, as I'm sure a lot of people have, and have really enjoyed it. And I thought back to that time in my life and thought how happy I was. And I thought maybe I can be a fly on the wall around these uber creative people who are telling stories through video, and I'll be happy, or feel fulfilled again. And sort of took a risk, took a chance, and actually took a bit of a pay cut initially, just to feel happier. And so yeah, I guess a little bit of luck of the draw, and uh, kind of betting on myself too.
Gotcha, gotcha. So now speaking of helping, companies tell stories through video, tell us a little bit about Spiracle and kind of what your role is at Spiracle.
Sure. So Spiracle is a video content agency built to tell stories. So we're a team of 12 over here at the moment, and we're mostly former journalists or former news reporters, cameramen, people who worked in the news industry and told stories, typically visually, on a daily basis, and usually under pretty unappealing circumstances. I'm sure you watch the news from time to time. Sometimes those people are out in like thunderstorms or hurricanes trying to tell a story, and it created a group of people over here who are happy to be out of the news industry, because over there you're sort of treated as a number, and over here we try to treat everyone as a person, right, basically. And yeah, so it's a fun world to be in, because every day there's a new story to tell. We work with um, multitude of businesses both in Charlotte and across the country, and all their stories are different. And so it's fun to see that story come to life initially. So that's my job here. I'm the account management, basically the onboarding person here, and I qualify the story and sort of guide it through that process, and then hand it off to my creatives who really run with it and make it to be the best it can possibly be.
Gotcha. Now, one of the things that I'm always interested in is when you look at social media, you can see a ton of people creating content and they talk about, the creative. And I always question when people are like, oh, I want to do this. And I'm like, okay, it looks a little bit more complicated than that, 2-minute Facebook ad showed you. So, from your experience, what does that process look like when a client comes to you and they're like, hey, I have this idea? What does that process and what does that experience look like when they're working with you guys?
Yeah, yeah, man. It's social media is is really funny these days. It's like everyone is a content creator because they have a camera on their phone, and more power to them. I want as many people out there to be creating great video as possible, but not all of them are actually telling a story. Um, and so, what I like to tell people, or basically ask people right off the bat, is who is your audience? And sometimes it's audiences, so multiple demographics that you want to reach with that video, and how are you going to reach them. So the story that you're going to tell, and then why is it going to resonate with those audiences, and if they can answer those questions, then we can fill in the blanks. So basically, not to give too much of the secret sauce away, but we work really agile and nimble, and try to make it affordable for our partners. So we will come in, basically give it a discovery call and figure out the best creative to take, and sort of have a rough outline going into the day or days of the shoot. And we typically work in smaller teams, which keeps the price reasonable for the partner. If you're having like 5, 6, 7, 8 people on a shoot, it can get into the 6-figure world, and we try to stay lower than that. And so it's also a straightforward process. Once that content is captured, it's brought back in-house, and we finish it and turn it into a beautiful video project.
Gotcha. Awesome. So, what have been some of the, the cool projects that you got to work on since you've been at Spiracle?
Man, it is amazing. Sometimes I just scroll through our Vimeo page and go back 2 years. That's how long I've been here, and watch some of the work that we've done. It's a great question because they're all really impactful, really interesting. And some of the ones that I really enjoy are for our smaller nonprofit partners. So one that I really love, and it's a group you've probably never heard of, but the Rutherfordton Women's Construction Group. And we basically went out and showed the leaders of the group, which are all women, working for a day with young girls and teaching them how to use power tools and how to build things with their hands. And I thought that was just such a cool contrast to what you usually see, because it's usually little boys like hammering and drilling, and that's kind of how society has taught us to be. But these girls loved it. They absolutely loved being able to create something with a tool, and it was just a cool video that we made.
Awesome. Awesome. So, what's some of the feedback that you guys get from your clients? Like after they work with you guys and they see the end product, what are some of the expressions and the feedback that they give?
It's another great question, man, because it runs the gamut as well. So a lot of times they're blown away, and they haven't, a lot of companies haven't worked with high production video companies before, agencies before. And so we go into those projects knowing that we're going to kind of rock their socks, so to speak. And that's awesome. I mean, having them have a really beautiful product that they can externally face, and also that builds their company up, it's really special. But the really cool ones are where a company has been working, they're familiar with high production video, and they know what that finished product is going to be, or something along those lines. But then at the end of it, they say to us, we love your process. We love how the service orient is there, and there's one point of contact, and I don't have to go to like 10 different people to try to get the latest update on my video project. There's one person there, and it's super seamless and friendly. And so those are really the ones, because you can have a great company, but if you don't have customer service, then you're missing a piece of it.
Awesome. So now, if there's potential customers out there, and also if they want to see some of your projects that you've already done, where can they find you guys online or social media?
Sure, yeah. So our Vimeo is my favorite go-to. If you're not familiar with Vimeo, it's sort of like YouTube, but more artsy, for lack of a. And I'm sure all the artists out there are like, this guy, can't believe you just said artsy. But yeah, if you search Spiracle Media on Vimeo, you'll see a lot of our portfolio, and then our Instagram is solid too. It's Spiracle Media, just on Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. Now, one question that I get to ask a few guests that have come on the show, and this is more so kind of related to the conversation we were having before we started. Now, you moved from Cincinnati to Charlotte. Now, I had another guest on that was in Cincinnati, and we got into this discussion about which city is the real Queen City. So, which one do you refer to as the real Queen City?
It's a big debate, man. But I will say people in Charlotte take it a lot more seriously. To be
Gotcha.
honest, I never heard the term Queen City when I was living in Cincinnati for like 20 years. And I get down here and like the first day I hear, you know, Queen City on the radio. And I'm like, I have no idea what that is, or why are they saying that? But I looked into it, and it's kind of interesting. I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think every state technically has a Queen City. It's the second smallest, or it's the largest city that isn't the capital city.
Gotcha.
So in Ohio, Columbus is the capital. Cincinnati is the second largest city, and obviously here Raleigh and Charlotte. So
Gotcha.
um, pretty cool, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing.
Now, before we wrap up the interview, one question that I like to ask every guest that comes on is, when you think about, what Spherical does and the value that you guys add to your clients and different businesses, what advice would you give a entrepreneur concerning, the expertise that you guys provide?
Absolutely. I love this question because I think every company, no matter how big or small, needs to have that Super Bowl ad video. That video that when a person comes to their website or one of their YouTube channels, they see that video and they are blown away by it. It either is super entertaining and eye-catching, or very informative and explains their company mission to a T. So what I would say, with the advice I would say is, even in these tough times, figure out how much money you can allocate towards video content. Even if it's buying a tripod and some microphones and putting your iPhone up, figure out what you can spend on video and make it as good as you can possibly make it, and then figure out the distribution aspect of it as well. So if you have $5,000 to work with, you can get a lot done. You could bring out a team like ours for a half day and shoot for 4 hours and really create enough content, A, to fill up your website, and then B, all your social channels for 6 to 8 months. And so I think it's sort of a misnomer that high quality video costs an arm and a leg. And yeah, $5,000 is probably an arm and a leg to a lot of businesses, but for the most part, it's an approachable process that is more affordable than people think.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, Davis, thank you so much for coming on the show, for, sharing your background, telling us a little bit more about Spiracle, and also the advice that you shared, because I think that is the advice piece is something that really helps a lot of entrepreneurs when they hear that, because it always triggers something that they may not have thought on their own. So definitely thank you guys so much for coming on the show, and we'll definitely keep an eye out and see how the success trajectory of Spiracle continues to grow.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, I appreciate the exposure. And if anyone has questions on video content, feel free to message me on LinkedIn. And speaking of growing, we were just named on the Inc. 5000 list yesterday, in the top half of it. So it's been a successful few years in the past, and even while this 2020 is a bit of a speed bump, we're going to be moving forward at lightning speed going forward. So Yeah, and there's a lot of businesses struggling out there right now. If Spiracle can be a resource in any way, don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on the recognition.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Terrell.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.